All right, one of the questions I get all the time is what qualifications do I need to become an entrepreneur? That's a little bit like saying what qualifications do I need to become a musician? You know that with a musical instrument, you can pick it up and just pluck one note and you can play a song. You can make something up. That makes you a musician. Well, it's very similar with entrepreneurship. There isn't any one thing you have to do that makes you qualified. It's a series of decisions you make. Keep in mind what an entrepreneur is in the first place. It's somebody who solves a problem. The term doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go into business. Anybody who takes on a project and does something creative and solves something is an entrepreneur. All you're doing, the only difference is the term entrepreneurship as it's used so often is somebody who's making money by solving problems. Whether you're baking something and selling it, you're solving a problem for the person who wants to buy that bread. And that's how entrepreneurship needs to be thought of. It isn't about qualifications in a school you have to go to, in a business class you have to take. All of that stuff can be learned, and you can find people to do those things. The question is, do you have an idea or a product that can make money? That's really where it starts. How much money you need, that all depends. I've already made a video about how to buy a company, and anybody can buy a company with no money. There are people all the time who just want to get away from their business and are willing to hand it over to somebody else for no money at all or very little, and you can pay it over time. But that's not the question. The question is, how do I become qualified? And I tell people, you just start. You come up with an idea and you just start working on it. You just start proving the concept. You put together a plan, you talk to other people, and you just start. I've made other videos about the small experiment and the things that you have to do when you're starting a business. And I believe in the concept of small experiments. It's worked for me marvelously over the decades. You try little things to get you to that point. If you were to start a bakery, you'd bake some products, you'd sell them to your friends. That's a small experiment. You'd see how that works. And then you would move from there to finding commercial kitchen space where you could rent some time in order to then bake something and then sell it commercially and see how you do there, and so on. That's how you build it, and that's also how you learn. So this notion that you have to first go to business school and that you have to have all of these things in place to start a business is just not the way most people start. Most start because they have a solution in mind that they want to apply. A typical entrepreneur would be somebody who would be in a business, whatever it might be. Maybe they're a mechanic, and they've been working for somebody else for some time, and they say, I'm going to go out on my own. I have enough clients, I've got enough relationships, I can go start my own thing, I have my own tools, and away they go, and they build their business. That's one of the most common ways in which startups build their company. Now, you can build a bigger company that's more interesting with higher technology and all of those kinds of stuff and go out and look for venture capital. And it is going to take a little bit more skill to make that kind of startup work. Doesn't make it impossible. Doesn't mean it's a challenge that you can't live up to. You can certainly do it. But you have to start somewhere. And this means getting a lot of feedback from other people and getting them to assist you with that plan and talking to others. It's why we do our Zoom call series, to give entrepreneurs an opportunity to ask questions, and we do everything we can to give them the answers that they want. So that's just an important tidbit, that you do not need anything special to become an entrepreneur, but there are a few things that'll make you more successful. One is that you have to have a willingness to learn. I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs I talk to who are stuck. Try and give them advice and they don't want to take it. They don't want to listen. They don't want to learn. It's very hard to be successful if you're not willing to take instruction from others. So one of the things investors look for, They look for somebody who's willing to learn, get advice, and apply that advice in order to make better decisions as they build their company. So don't be afraid to go out and get advice and apply it to what it is you're doing, even if it's hard to swallow at times. Because good advisors are going to tell you things you don't want to hear. James Clear said something really great. It stuck with me recently. And if you don't follow James Clear, he's well worth following. But he said, if you're surrounded by people who think like you, talk like you, have all of the same problems, do all of the same stuff, who's going to give you advice? And he's right. Advice comes from people who are different from you, who have different experiences, who can share that information with you. And so with that, I wish you the best of luck. Now hit the subscribe button if you want to follow us. You can also find me on Tom on Entrepreneurship and on Quora, and Tom on Entrepreneurship on Quora. You can also find me on tomnault.com as well as middlerock.com, where all of us work together to help entrepreneurs and help get companies unstuck. Thank you very much for being here.